It is 4 o'clock. We are going to get started. So, good afternoon. Welcome to the first webinar of the Cultivating Excellence webinar series. I am so excited. Our office is very excited to have all of you with us. As I've said before, but for anybody who's just entered, just be aware that we are recording so that we can share this on our YouTube channel for anybody who was not able to attend or just wants to see the presentation. We do ask that you keep your microphone muted until you're ready to speak. We don't mind if you speak and use your microphone, just keeping it muted keeps us from having a feedback loop. If you're not familiar with the Teams platform, if you will, I'm going to point, even though you can't see, but across the top of my screen, I have some icons. So there should be an icon for you to click that says chat. There should be an icon with a hand. That means you can raise your hand and we'll call on you. That one icon does require that you turn it back off again. So you actually have to put your hand back down, just FYI. There's a reaction icon where you can pick a heart or a laughing face or a smiley face. And then you should have the ability to turn your cameras on and off and to mute and unmute your microphone. Please be aware that Teams will prioritize video over audio. So if you are struggling to hear, turn your video off. That should improve the sound. That way it's not trying to show your camera all the time. All right, so very quick introduction. My name is Terisha Eller. I am from the Office of Virtual Instruction Services at NCDPI. I serve the Northwest and the Western regions. My colleagues are in here with me. We serve the entire state. We've got Christine Barbario serves the Southwest and other regions. Nikisha Rucker serves Piedmont Triad and portions of some other regions. We've got Betsy Hicks who serves in the Northeast and some parts of the North Central, and then Iris Ellington who serves in the Southeast and parts of the Sand Hills and North Central. So some of those center regions are split up, and so I don't have it all clear, but that's where we are. Okay, our facilitator tonight, well, it's not really night, but anyway, our facilitator is Elizabeth. She goes by Betsy Hough, so we do have two Betsys. I will probably refer to Betsy Hough as Miss Hough, just for clarification. She teaches 8th grade English language arts at Guilford e-Learning University Prep, and her email is there on the screen. If you need to follow up with her, reach out and ask any questions. All right, so before I turn it over to Ms. Hough, we're going to play a quick this or that game, welcoming inclusion. Okay, so this or that, what you're going to do is you'll use the chat and you can just pick the most important word from the pair. Okay, I'll give you an example. The first one is a single word pair, pizza or tacos. So just put your choice in the chat. Tacos. Okay, okay, I'm seeing it's fairly evenly split. Okay. All right. Beach vacation or mountain retreat. So you can just say beach or mountains. I'm a beach. I live near the mountains, so I'm a beach gal. Beach. Awesome. All right. Broadway musical or live concert. So you can just say musical or concert. Live. Yeah, I want that live concert. I do like a good Broadway musical, though. I don't know. I just, I'm a singer, so I like the musicals. All right. Let's see. Sorry. The next one. Board games or video games? I'm a board games gal. Scrabble is my favorite. I'm an English language arts teacher, so yeah, Scrabble. Okay. All right. Well, come on. There we go. Early bird or night owl? You board game except Monopoly. Okay. Lots of earlies. Neither. Sadly, both, but friendlier in the morning. Christy, same, same. All right. And finally, snowman or sandcastle? I think, Marcia, I'm going to say, is that related to the meme that I've seen? Is this perpetually tired chicken or penguin, or isn't that the one that's roaming around there? Talking about not an early bird or a night owl. All right. I like a good snowstorm, y'all. And yes, I live near the mountains, but I like a good snowstorm. Okay, at this point, I am going to stop sharing and I'm going to turn it over to Miss Huff, and I'm going to mute my microphone and let her take over.
Hey, you guys. My name again is Elizabeth Hough. It is Betsy for those of you that would like to call me by a nickname. If you want to do the teacher thing and just say Huff, that's fine. Even though it's Hough, it's pronounced like I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house down. That's what I tell my students all the time so that they can get that pronunciation right. I'm going to go ahead and drop my slideshow in the chat very first thing so you guys have access to that. And I'm going to also share the slideshow. And I'm going to do presenter view. And if you can't see it, then just let me know, because occasionally my computer does strange things. And when I do the full view, it will not let me share it. So if you can't see it, then let me know. So it is the Cultivating Excellence webinar series. It is offered by NCDPI. Tarisha?
No, no, I was trying to do reactions, not raise my hand. My apology.
It's all good. So thank you to Tarisha and Betsy for organizing this. They sort of met with us a couple of weeks ago and got out some of our nerves. And so we're all good. And so, of course, I am doing effective online course design. And so that is the name of my game. And just a little about me. I was the 23-24 Guilford County Schools Middle School Teacher of the Year. I was the Teacher of the Year for my school, of course. I do have a master's in English education. I'm as well as tech guru at my school. I am the lead mentor. I am Canvas and Quizzes certified. So we will play a quizzes, and I will show you some things in Canvas as far as modules and how course design should look. Of course, my big main job is a teacher, 8th grade ELA. When I put this presentation together, I was just teaching ELA, but I do have a social studies class this year. So if anybody wants to reach out to me and give me pointers on doing social studies, that would be appreciated, because guess what? I haven't done social studies since 2006. So I am struggling a bit with social studies, I'll be honest. But I do not struggle with virtual teaching. I love it. We started in COVID and I never stopped. And so it's one of my favorite things. I just fell in love with virtual teaching. So we are part of North Carolina Department of Public Instruction. Rethink Education is the virtual department. This is the mission. It helps our school communities prepare and adapt to pretty much virtual instruction, no matter what happens. And of course, a whole lot of counties have started virtual schools, not just because of COVID, but just because there was a need. Our school has continued because there is definitely a need in Guilford County. We are, I think, the third largest county in the state, and there's a need for the virtual instruction just for a variety of reasons. So we, all of us in this room, will become the experts if we ever were to have another pandemic or some sort of national disaster. And this presentation will hopefully prepare you to maybe get a blended learning classroom, a flipped classroom, or go into virtual teaching. We do have the 21st century skills, the 5 C's. These apply to us whether we are in virtual or not. I like to start with these, and these are sort of the things that we do in the classroom virtually and in person. We have communication among our students, we have collaboration, creativity, critical thinking, citizenship, and take ownership of their products. In virtual, it's a little different sometimes because some classes are asynchronous, some are synchronous. And so we may not get as much of that collaboration and the communication going on if you have completely asynchronous instruction. But this is still sort of the things we want to train our students for, whether we are virtual or whether we are synchronous or asynchronous. So the next slide is we're going to play a game. So I'm going to go ahead and set us up for this game. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and share with us quizzes, and we are going to participate in our quizzes. I will drop the link into the chat for us to sort of do instructor paced. And if you need training on quizzes, I can get that training for you. So I'm going to go ahead and drop the link into chat, and you guys feel free to jump right in and join our little game. It's only 4 slides, so don't freak out. It won't take long. I always tell my kids, we're playing a game, and then they're like, oh, we're going to have 30 questions. Nope, this is only 4 this time. So you just join in. Again, clear course organization, and this sort of is going to go through our agenda. So I'll wait just another second for you guys to join in, and then we will get started. I'm going to go ahead and start. Everybody's not in, but that's okay. Join as you can, just for sake of time. Here is our first question. Should I modify my lessons for an online environment? So if you're doing blended learning, flipped learning, or virtual, should you modify the lessons for an online environment? Will they all work? Will you change all of them? Will none of them work? Are you unsure? We do have 17 people joined and 14 people have responded, so our time will run out. I think I set it for 30 seconds for each question. And so quizzes, if you haven't ever done quizzes, it does have a leaderboard, and we do have all correct answers. So good for you guys. You might change a few. Yes, you will probably change many. I'm glad no one chose no, they will all work, or you are unsure. So let's go to our next question. Again, with quizzes, you can do the full question view. Should I offer both synchronous and asynchronous lessons? If you don't know what asynchronous and synchronous mean, then I'll sort of touch on that a little bit in my presentation. Yes, sometimes it depends, or you're unsure. And again, when you are in quizzes, if any of you want training, you can see all of the people that have responded and those that have not responded. That's a good way to sort of test to see if your kids are participating in the quiz. And again, yes, sometimes, and it depends. All of those are great answers. I sort of made this quiz very easy. And it's really does depend on your school and your model. So sometimes you might have synchronous, sometimes you might have both. Let's go to our next one. Should your courses look different for elementary, secondary, and higher ed? Definitely, maybe, think so. Nah, you just do them all the same. And yes, they definitely should. Yes, you think so? Maybe. Again, your courses in Canvas, and I'm going to go over this in the presentation, should definitely look a little bit different for elementary, middle and high school about the same, and then for higher ed. This is our last question. Should I always offer interactive lessons? And so, again, pretty much, yes, most of the time we should offer interactive lessons. They are best. All the time, sometimes you may do a video, for example, and that's not going to be as interactive, although you can embed videos into quizzes and make those interactive. So, thank you guys for participating in our quiz. I'm going to go ahead and switch back over to the presentation and share my screen. And all of those things we did in the quizzes is pretty much an introduction to what we are going to be talking about in the webinar. It is really clear course organization. I'm going to talk a little bit about elementary, show you some examples, talk about organized content, offering both synchronous and asynchronous lessons, and then offering those interactive lessons. And all of that sort of falls under the clear course organization heading. And again, some of it is dependent on if you are doing a blended learning model, if you're doing a flipped classroom, if you are at a school that is completely asynchronous and you only provide video content and maybe office hours, or if you're more like our school in Guilford, we do synchronous and asynchronous. And we pretty much follow at our school a schedule that is very similar to a traditional in-person middle school. We have 4 live sessions, and then we have the recordings of those sessions. We have some office hours and some special help times. So it's a little bit different based on the model that you follow. So the first thing is know your audience, whether it is just general, elementary, middle, or high school. So in general, you should always have sort of a home page, getting started buttons, contact information, grades, access, live schedule, office hours. That should just be in general. I'm going to sort of show you 2 examples. This is sort of what we started out with when our school was new. It's just a basic page, right? It's got our contact information. It's got some things here. It's got some help stuff down at the bottom. Just a basic home page. We have since grown and learned at Guilford eLearning University Prep. We've combined elementary and middle, and we are now K-8. So our home pages have changed quite a bit. And this is more what we have now. And these at the top are where our kids are going to go for the first 4 weeks. I will remove these sort of buttons a little later, and they will have to follow the links from a different area, which I'll scroll to. We do have a slides show. This is our school slides, right? And this is part of the organization. The slideshow for our school announcements pops up first at the top of the page. Everybody in the school gets these same announcements, dates, events, all of those things. So clear course organization, you should have these things large where people can see them, even if they're kindergartners or, all the way up to 8th grade. This is part of your organization, is having these announcements at the top of the page. Again, lots of large icons. I teach middle school, and so I really do want things to stand out. And I do co-teach with another teacher, so her information is here. Anything you want to know about yourself, you put in a Bitmoji, make it very clear. I love dogs, and so there's me with a little dog. And then we do have buttons on our middle school homepage. A button that leads to assignments, a button that leads back to our contact information, a button that links to our team meeting office hours, a button that has all of our recorded sessions, our grades, of course, it links to grades, and then it clicks to our live sessions. This is sort of going to be the bulk of my presentation. I will go over a few more slides, but I just want to show you that this homepage is sort of clearly organized. Everything is very upfront. There should be no questions. Anyone that comes to this page and looks for certain content, they should not really have to go over here to, of course, these links on the side, right? They can click these links to get to anything that they want. If they need live session schedule, they can click on the live session schedule and it gives them their team links, right? If they go back to that home page, then it gives them everything that they need, and it's sort of on those big buttons, right? And so we always at our school, another part of our organization of our content is we always record our lessons. We have live sessions and recorded lessons. And what I do is put my recorded lessons on this page. I haven't updated it since last week. That's on my to-do list for tomorrow. I normally always do it on Wednesdays. And so here's a link to all of my asynchronous recordings. They get to that again from the homepage. So if there's any recordings that are necessary for them to read, they know, or to look at, view, they know they can just click here. If they're out a week with the flu, COVID, we just had a girl today that was in a car accident. She knows she's going to be out for a couple of days. She can go to this recorded lessons button and easily view all of the recorded lessons asynchronously on her timeline. Assignments here for us, this is another way to sort of organize your content, and I'll go over this a little bit more later just as a sort of a review. We organize by assignments and modules. So I'm going to show you sort of what that looks like on my page when you do assignments and modules. It's not linking for some reason. There it goes, just being a little bit slow. So we set everything up for modules in our course organization. So for me, module 1 is just weeks 1 and 2. And this is the title of my unit. I'm not going to do a Canvas training. I can do a Canvas training if anybody wants one, but we sort of organize our contents by modules in the middle school instead of by assignments. This just makes it easy for students to get back to those weeks if they need to make up any sort of work or any sort of other assignments from previous weeks. If you are in a completely asynchronous model, modules might not be necessary. You can just list things and the students go through those assignments in order. But again, we set up as modules. We have an influx of new students throughout the year. We may need them to go back and review something or, whatever. So it's easy for us to sort of send them back, say, to module 1 and do whatever lessons there are. We also have in our modules what the icons mean, and I think that we might sort of be the only school that has a Getting Started module. I don't know if other schools do this, but we do have a Getting Started module where they have all of the things that an e-learner might need to know. How to check their email, how to navigate, how to work through their modules, how to take screenshots. Again, this is just a really simple way to organize things in your content. That's sort of the name of my part, is how to organize your course. And so modules really, to me, are the easiest ones. And this is also a good way to maybe do things for your units as well. So module 1 for me would be sort of like the first unit. It's for folklore and of Latin America. And then you move to module 2. That would be like a second unit. We only happen to have 4 units in ELA. And so I have 4 separate sort of modules for my students, and then they're separated out into weeks. Another way that this can be done, and this is, I think, what the elementary school does for us, is they sort of separate it out by weeks. So on this, on the modules, it's sort of units. On the elementary, it's sort of done by weeks. So you click on this week, and it's very easy for elementary school, right? They have 5 days that they have to worry about, nothing else. That's the way it's organized. They have the week that they have to do, and all of their assignments are sort of organized in that 1 week. Just another way that you can sort of organize by weeks, by modules. And then I'll, when we get back to the presentation, show you one more way to organize. For the elementary students, they can click on this button for last week, but they can also get assignments by date for any month that they need to go back to. And then this gives them clear buttons for each week that they might need to go back to. If you guys want any of these templates, I can share them in comments of Canvas. So if you want a module template, I can share that with you. If you want a weekly setup for elementary students, I can share that with you as well. And so again, it just really is dependent on your grade level and what you feel your students would adapt to easier. Middle and high school students can sort of do the modules. They're a little bit more adept at technology and can do that. Elementary students might need, okay, this is what we focus on for this week, and that's it. They can't, do a whole lot of stuff. They would get overwhelmed. So that's just an in-depth about sort of the difference between elementary, middle, and those pages and the organization of those pages. I will tell you, in higher ed, it doesn't look nearly as pretty. So you don't have any kind of fancy graphics or Bitmojis or any kind of boxes like this. My daughter is in college. She is at UNC Charlotte, and they do use Canvas. And
Betsy, I think you just muted yourself. Double check your mic.
I did accidentally
That's
mute
okay.
myself.
I want to step back. You may want to repeat what you just said.
Oh, about the higher ed, or?
Yeah, just real quick.
Okay, I don't know where my mic sort of got muted. So the weekly agendas, again, I also messed up my slideshow somehow. So let me start this over again. What I was saying about higher ed is the course organization. My daughter is in UNC Charlotte. She is a sophomore. I almost said freshman. Almost said freshman, but she is a sophomore this year. And she has really none of the pretty stuff. I see in the chat that some of you guys are saying the buttons and all of the modules and all of this stuff, right? And how it looks pretty. In higher ed, hers does not look pretty. Hers is, I keep exiting out. I'm sorry, you guys. Hers is very straight to the point, very much just the assignments. And so her page would be sort of just a list of assignments. So it would look more like just this. She would just jump in and the assignments would be there. That is the home page. So the buttons, again, would be missing. There would be no pretty Bitmojis or anything. It would just list the assignments like this. And I actually looked at her Canvas page and I was like, how do you even, get contact with your professor? There's really not too much information on there. And she was like, well, we just email them, from the email from Outlook or whatever. And so I was just like, well, Okay, but maybe they need to do some course design and use some Bitmojis. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe I'm a little bit middle school for the higher ed folks. But they don't use a lot of graphics in higher ed. Their course organization is pretty much the assignments, and that's it. Another part of organizing your content, always offer a syllabus, even for elementary school students. We are virtual, or even if we're doing sort of a blended learning model and your students are using devices, it's always good for them to be able to go back and see where they're headed. Um, Again, this should be self-explanatory. Align your content to North Carolina Standard Course of Study. We just talked about this. There are multiple ways to organize. Assignments, again, should have measurable outcomes. They don't, when I took the Canvas training, complete or incomplete is not recommended. You should always have sort of a grade for most assignments. That's pretty much basic virtual. Complete or incomplete is not recommended. And then students should always be offered ways to show mastery. This is for synchronous or asynchronous. Quizzes is a great tool. I love that platform. But you should offer summative and formative evaluations. So my students tomorrow will be taking a test on everything we've done, but we do a lot of quizzes so I can get an idea of where they're at in class. So here's just another sort of a screenshot of the modules, just as a refresher, and then another screenshot of the weekly agendas. Again, if you need templates for this to set up your Canvas pages, please let me know. I have my contact information at the end, and I can sort of show you and guide you through the process of setting this up. You can change anything on here and edit that. Of course, that's for a Canvas training. If you don't know how to do those things, again, I can help you out with that. You should always offer some sort of synchronous time with your students. I know depending on where you're at, this is sort of course organization. There should be a link somewhere for them to get in touch with you for some sort of live session. At our school, we have built-in live sessions. If you are completely asynchronous, your organization of your page should have office hours somewhere where you have a scheduled time where they can meet with you and they can schedule appointments. Maybe takes them to a Google form, or it takes them to email and they just say, hey, I need to meet with you during office hours, or whatever that is. That's sort of part of your Canvas course organization, is making sure that it's clear, your contact information, and clear how they get in touch with you and how they get help from you if they need that sort of one-on-one live interaction. Again, asynchronous does not necessarily just mean you make videos. Asynchronous might include videos, but it also might include those quizzes, a slideshow, a video, or like what we do, a video of the live lesson. There are platforms out there where you can do a video that has questions embedded, for example, Edpuzzle. So asynchronous doesn't mean you're just recording yourself teaching. There's lots of other ways to do that. And that, again, should be clearly aligned or clearly locatable on your Canvas page. You should students should be able to see all of your asynchronous videos as well as some sort of synchronous time. Also, you should offer interactive lessons. That is a definite, whether we're asynchronous or synchronous. And these two should be part of your course organization. For us in middle school, our kids love routine. And so my kids really have become accustomed to, already 4 weeks into school, to quizzes. It's my favorite. But they also love Kami and Blooket, Google, Kahoot, Nearpod. There are Canvas and LMS embedded quizzes. Edpuzzle I just mentioned. Padlet or Linowit, we're going to do one of those in just a second. Microsoft Office tools, discussion boards. This is just a list. Again, when you are organizing your content, if you know that you're going to have interactive lessons, one of those buttons might be for the interactive lessons. Another button might be for your office hours. Another button might be for you having your own recordings. So you can adjust that organization and those buttons to whatever you want on your organization of that home page. So we are going to do a Linowit. If you click on that link, I think it will work from the slideshow. If it doesn't, then I can get you the link. So we actually have two Linowits. So I'll drop both of those in the chat just so you guys can click on them a little easier. And plus, sometimes Teams is not want to have them active in the live presentation. So I'll drop those links in and then go back.
Yeah, if you're having trouble clicking on the link and getting it to populate, we have found what you have to do is copy and paste the link into your browser, and usually that works.
And I did drop it into the chat as well, just because I'm so used to my students. I can't click on the link. It's not working. And so if it doesn't work for you guys, copy and paste or just jump into the chat. So this is sort of a Wakelet that I've been putting together. You guys, this is Linowit, this platform. If you haven't ever used Linowit before, it is a free Padlet. You can make as many Linowits as you want. There's no limit. And so this is sort of where I'm going to house a lot of things, but I really would sort of like for you guys to add a Padlet or add sort of your sticky note. And on this sticky note, I would love for you guys to have some other interactive platform suggestions that you can put in here. So I did put Wakelet is another one. Here on this slide, there's all of our favorites. We use these a lot, but we are all fabulous educators here. And I know that you guys probably have a whole lot of other interactive platforms that you may use. If you guys have any other interactive platforms that are not listed on that page that you guys use in your classes, maybe you want to start using, you haven't really gotten to use that much. Again, these are all sort of pretty well known. I think most people know these that are in this, but there sort of are some other obscure ones. Wakelet is one of those that is a little bit more obscure. A lot of people have never heard of Wakelet. These also can be linked in your course navigation. Any of these, and you can create assignments. You can do synchronous lessons. You can do asynchronous lessons with all of these sort of platforms. And I have seen Canvas pages that are done by asynchronous, where all they do is interactive lessons. They never really have themselves teaching anything in a recording. All they do is an interactive lesson. So they may do nothing but a quiz, or they may have a Cami and they might do a verbal like recording over it. They may give just a set of instructions. So sometimes your course organization might just be interactive lessons. And if that's the case, then again, those buttons can be changed to however you want to do it, right? And I was just checking the chat. So we've got GimKit. I forgot GimKit. I've never really done GimKit as much. So if anybody wants to do a GimKit training and bring that in with me. Canva, we do use Canva at our school as well. ClassKick, Wiser. Jamboard is fantastic, but guess what, you guys? Jamboard's going away. I don't know if you guys know that, but Jamboard is leaving us. So I'm sad about Jamboard too. I used to use Jamboard a lot, but it is leaving us. So any others, this link will be up. I don't plan on deleting it at all. So if you guys want to use this and you can think of anything else, then that's fine. This again is just one that I use with my students, and it's really easy. This is the things that we do when we read and some strategies that we use. And so we talk about this in class, and then I force them to do these strategies, to reread and to use context clues and to use short chunks. So you can do this within your content as well, the Linowit.
So,
Again,
hey, Ms. Huff, just really quickly,
yeah,
I noticed on your Linowit that I'm not sure which one of the team, I'm thinking it might have been Christine, shared a link to our digital resources that we have compiled based on feedback from other people. So I went ahead and popped that link in the chat. It's just tons of digital resources and a quick overview of them. So
awesome.
just wanted to let you know, did put that in.
Fantastic. So again, lots of digital resources, and you can include these somewhere in your course organization, whether it's actually an assignment within a module or it is a button where they just can go and get access to a whole lot of quizzes, a whole lot of Linowits. And this is, again, a good way. The Linowits are a good way for those 21st century skills to be built. They can interact, whether it's asynchronous or synchronous, with the Linowits, with the Padlets, with all of those things. Another thing about course organization, and this is something that a lot of people do not realize when you are organizing your course content, it is accessibility and inclusivity. So we, in the past, we have actually had visually impaired students, for example. Vision actually trumps all other senses when you are thinking about course organization and when you are virtual. Like when you are teaching virtual, of course, you're seeing the monitor in front of you. And so vision really trumps everything else. But sometimes you will try to include all the senses for lower grades. Our elementary teachers, let me just give a shout out to our elementary teachers because they are fantastic at incorporating all the senses. And they've got kids jumping up and down and shouting and buttons and games and all of this stuff in their courses that the kids do. And especially our kindergarten and our first grade teachers, they include all the senses. They sing songs, there's music. I told the parents at our magnet fair, I said, our elementary teachers is sort of like watching an old school Sesame Street. Really, like they are just all into it, and it is just the craziest thing. So they really do try to incorporate all the senses in their Canvas course organization. Like they really go all out and try and include all the senses. But for any grade level, vision is sort of like a must. It needs to look pretty, it needs to look organized. If you want something to be noticed, it needs to be bigger. Things that aren't as important are a little smaller, all of those things. Again, on all Canvas courses, you should choose activities and interactive presentations, whether it's asynchronous or synchronous. What I love about quizzes, you guys, I am a quizzes certified educator, but quizzes actually lets you set modifications and accommodations for EC students. So for example, in a math quiz, you give it to the students asynchronously, but they have read aloud. That's one of their accommodations. Quizzes will read it out loud to them. You don't have to read it. You don't have to have a session where you're reading it to them. Quizzes will modify the assignment and read the questions for them. So that's good organization for students that have any kind of accommodations, modifications on their IEPs. Another accessibility and inclusivity rule for Canvas pages is there is an option to set captions for most asynchronous videos. So if you have hearing disabled students, they can read the captions. And even if they are not completely deaf, if they have sort of hearing aids or any kind of hearing impairment, the captions are really good for the asynchronous videos. And there's a way that you can turn captions on in Canvas. Again, I don't have time to go in and show you all of that. But most LMSs will allow you to turn captions on for any videos you have. And then, of course, you want to use larger font sizes to accommodate those with visual impairments. They suggest font size 14 when you're doing your course organization. Again, that just is really based on your choice, but size 12 and under is not recommended. Again, another part of this accessibility and inclusivity for your Canvas courses and setting them up and organizing them is just keep in mind that we do have students that have religious holidays, there are cultural barriers, all sorts of limitations that might interfere with them doing a synchronous session. Tarisha mentioned earlier that if you're having problems with your camera, then that might be something that is because of the sound or it's pulling too much bandwidth or whatever. But there also might be some cultural barriers in students. So just keep that in mind as you're preparing your Canvas course organization, that some of the synchronous sessions, you may have to record those because students will be out. So you always want to keep sort of that recordings button, even if you are a completely synchronous school. So like we are a completely synchronous school, we have live sessions, but we still have that recording button because students are out just because of religious holidays. And a lot of parents do choose virtual because of this very reason. They know that they're going to be missing a lot of days. And so just keep in mind that that might interfere with your synchronous sessions, and you will have to have some sort of link within your Canvas organization for recordings for whatever reason. Again, adapting to an online environment, your course organization offering getting started modules. I already did that. We did this for the past 3 years, y'all, and it has helped us so much. We are virtual, but we have offered an in-person open house where we can sort of show everyone what they can do. Not everybody can do this, but if you can't do this, have at least a full day of online orientation sessions within your Canvas organization. So we had a 2-day orientation session for our middle school students this year. That is highly recommended for your Canvas organization, where you can just go over all the things. And when you are organizing your Canvas page, you link back to those orientation sessions for new students. So that's sort of a really important part, is especially students that are new to virtual learning, you organize your Canvas page where those orientation sessions can be viewed and they can go back and see those like as the very first assignment that they complete. Really, really important. Also offer office hours for all new students. Again, the orientation session might not answer everything. We do have open enrollment for our school in January. So some of our students choose to leave, and then some of our other students choose to come to us. And so in January, we sort of have this open enrollment. We don't want to have to go through another 2-day orientation session. So we offer these on our Canvas page, and we say, hey, you're new, go to these orientation sessions, learn how to send emails, how to navigate your courses, how to find your schedule, all of those things. It's highly, highly recommended that every Canvas page has an orientation session, even if you are in a blended learning or a flipped classroom environment. You don't want to sit there and have to train every single new student you get. If you have a flipped classroom or if you have a blended learning classroom, you don't want to have to train every student that comes in new. For us, we don't At our school, we don't really have open enrollment all year. It's in January, but if you are in person and you're doing blended learning or a flipped classroom, those people can come in and out. You know, every month you might get a new student, and you just don't want to have to train them on how the course works every single time you get a new student. So this should definitely be a part of your course organization, adapting to the online environment, the virtual learning, the modules or the lessons, or however you have set that up. Again, effective communication, really important part of the course organization. Make sure you train your students and your parents on email etiquette and messaging. Always have a greeting, always have a salutation, all the things. And then allow for multiple forms of communication on your Canvas course. So when they click on contact your teacher, it could be text, it could be email, it could be remind, it could be LMS messaging, it could be clever messaging. We offer all of those at our school. And then again, just sort of email etiquette, respond to your messages within 24 hours, especially if you are like us and you are completely online. 8 hours should be adequate time. I'll be honest, most of the time I am responding to people within 3 or 4 hours because we do have sort of a morning break and lunch. So if I get something, I want to respond to it immediately so I don't forget. But 24 hours is fine. Again, on your communication for clear organization, have multiple forms of communication for your students and parents. That's always suggested. And that is all I have. And I went 1 minute over what I thought I wanted to go. I wanted to stop at 4:50. I'm sorry, you guys, because Tricia does have something at the end for us as a little closing. Um, Reach out to me if you have questions, comments, concerns, shout outs, anything that you need me to help you with. Again, I try to respond the same day, even on the weekends. I will try to get back to you. If you need help with setting up a Canvas course, if you want the templates sent to you, if you want help with quizzes, again, I am quizzes certified, so I can help you set up a test with accommodations and modifications in quizzes. Again, just shout out to me, send me an email, and I will try to get back to you guys and help you with anything that I can. That's what I'm here for, is to help teachers. And that was my word of the year. We had that at our opening staff meeting, to give people support as much as I possibly can. So thank you guys for
So
coming. I enjoyed it.
thank you, Betsy. I really appreciate it. I did drop in just because I was curious about the other ways that people, because there's so many ways to communicate. You can't possibly capture them all on a Canvas slide. So I've given, and Emily Hall shared that she has a Google Voice number, which is great. And there's great resources in the chat, you guys. I loved the networking that I was watching people go, oh, I'm connected, and here, and boom. It was great. Just great to see the networking. So appreciate you very, very much. Very excited. I am going to reshare my screen. Pick the window. Okay. Talking points. Yes, because Talking Points offers translation. That is wonderful. And I also wanted to say that I appreciated, Betsy, that you shared a very important point about culture. And somebody else spoke to that in the chat. And I just want to say that it is really important to be aware of the rich variety of cultures that are in your learning classroom, because there may be holidays or other observances that we're not aware of. But if we're, that we don't know about yet, but once we get to know our learning community and we're aware of those, as you indicated, we can be prepared. We can set up those alternatives. We can make sure that that student still has access to the learning that they need. And so I appreciated that you brought that up, because knowing the culture of your students is huge, and they love to share about themselves. So, getting to know all the different kind of backgrounds and cultures and family traditions, that's really important. And so thank you for bringing that up as far as even in course design, that accessibility piece. Okay, there's a question in here. I want to check it out really quickly. Question is about accountability. I have 3-day floating deadlines, meaning students have a deadline, but have 3 days after that deadline to get that work finished without penalty. Each unit's open until the end of the unit, usually 5 to 6 weeks long. Is this something anyone else is doing? That's a great question. I would love for you guys, while I'm wrapping this up, if you want to respond to her. And definitely my response to you, Julie, which you've probably already done, would be just to check with your administrators for where you work and just make sure that you know what the district guidelines are and all of that sort of stuff. That would be my first response. But y'all share with the chat what you're doing. Okay, so I'm going to drop in the chat. Thank you to Kenneth, who pointed out to me that I did not I forgot to turn on the link. So let me copy the link address. I'm going to put the link in the chat. That should pull up this, and then let me show it to you. I did not share my screen. Y'all, no, I am sharing my screen. Okay. So it's a quick Google form. Just put your first and last name in, your professional email address, and then just click send me a certificate, or I don't need one. Anybody who says send me a certificate, I will get you one by Friday. Okay, and then if one of my colleagues if anybody has trouble with that link, just drop that link in the chat a couple of times. That would be helpful. Okay, so what is up next? Well, I'm just super excited. Looks like we had at our peak, we had over 30 people in here. Fabulous. We do hope that you'll have time to join us for our next webinar. Our next webinar is going to be co-facilitated by Joshua Seabolt and Kelly Wilson. They are teachers with Online Catawba, which is an online learning program with Catawba County Schools. There's a little information on that slide about them. Here's the link. If you are not already registered, if you would like to join us, that way I will be sure to send you the information. I'll send you the meeting link and all that like I did today if you're not already registered. So now, here in just a few minutes, we're trying something new with this webinar series, and I am really looking forward to this. We're going to do a follow-up chat on the X platform, formerly known as Twitter, just for anybody who is not familiar with that. We've got 3 questions. We're just going to be quick. We're going to do about 15 minutes. So we're going to start at 5:05. We're going to ask that you just quick pop in, share your name and a strategy or an idea that you got from the webinar that you're excited to try tomorrow or very soon. And then how will your online course design be impacted by what you learned? And then finally, how can you actively involve your students in the design of your online class or course? So we hope that you will join us. We're going to wrap up about 2 minutes early. So I am going to go ahead and stop the recording.